You are listening to the Tenets on the Kyle Dempster Studios network. To support us, visit patreon.com/Kyle Dempster Studios. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a new episode of The Tenets. My name is Kyle, and I'm joined here by my co-host, StarkeRealm. Hello, Stark.
Hey.
We are going to talk to you guys about a very different concept than we've done before, or this is almost something that throws back to the very inception of the podcast. This week, we're going to talk to you guys about buying copies of Elder Scrolls Online. With the holiday season right around the corner, I mean, I think I saw like 8 days from Christmas.
Oh, God.
People, yeah, right? I saw it on Twitter today. Yeah. People are buying copies of the game. People are upgrading computers. 'Tis the season to get back into gaming for those that haven't. You know, a lot of people are on winter break from college, et cetera, et cetera. So with that being said, we thought it'd be a good time to talk about getting you or your friend to buy the quote-unquote correct copy of ESO, because Stark is a very veteran player. Myself is someone that's played for over 6 months and thinks that I know what I'm talking about. When you go to the ESO website and you go into their store page, it is still very confusing to look at all the different versions of the game and know what you want to buy or know what's going to yield you kind of the best results for the best price. So we kind of did this little breakdown for you guys. We'll go through some copies here, talk about what's going to get you what different aspects of the game, and try and navigate you through it. So our hope is that if you're looking to buy it, or if you have a friend that's looking to buy, you can always send them this episode, and maybe this will guide you. We're going to focus in on the PC copies, and we're going to focus in on buying it directly from the Elder Scrolls Online store. If we were to cover Xbox and PS4 and all the different stores that you can buy this, we may be here for the next 2 years, possibly, probably. So we just decided to boil it down for you. I think we should start, Stark, with a kind of an opinion question at the top of it, and we'll kind of keep this semi-brief, but it's a good one. People ask this all the time in Twitch streams. Will I like the Elder Scrolls Online if I like the single-player games? Stark, how do you answer that when someone just asks you that off the cuff?
It kind of depends, because they are different. If ESO or the single player games are your only frame of reference, then it's going to be a significant. There's going to be a significant adaptation curve there. Well, it's not a learning curve really, but you're approaching a different kind of game here. It does have things like a hotbar for combat that you don't see in the single player games. It does force you to stay aware of your environment in combat in a way the single player games kind of forgive, because you can just hide in your inventory whenever. You know what I'm talking about, too.
Yeah, I do.
At any given moment, the Dragonborn can freeze time and devour 3,000 cheese wedges. And suddenly they move faster because they're no longer over-encumbered.
Magic. True magic. That's the true power
magic.
of the Dragonborn.
That's the true power of... Yeah, exactly. So it is different. It's a little bit more relentless. You have to be a little bit more aware of where enemies are when you decide to dig around in your inventory. And that's stuff you'll deal with any MMO or any online game. I would say if you don't like MMOs... normally, like you've tried MMOs in the past and this is something that you generally ignore the genre, that's not as much of a kiss of death here, because it's a lot more in line with a persistently online RPG, an action RPG, rather than normal I'd say normal MMOs. I mean, I've played a lot, you've played a lot, but the sort of, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to auto attack for this time, and then I'm going to do a rotation that's very straightforward, very simple, precise, like, okay, cool. And it's just optimizing your rotation. You can use the same terminology for ESO, but it is a very different concept because it's a very different style of game in combat. So if you like single player games normally, yeah, it's certainly worth taking a look at. If you're on the fence and you're not sure about it for whatever reason, then there are cheap options. And there's also the free play weekends that come around.
That's a great point. I was going to say it's very thematic to the Elder Scrolls. I mean, it does that very well. If you're an extreme lore nerd, you're going to have some little hiccups here and there, I think. But if you're just someone that really enjoys spending a weekend playing Skyrim and is looking for new Elder Scrolls experiences, I think this is a fantastic game for you. I love the MMO component. I'm someone that since I dipped my toes in Elder Scrolls with Oblivion. That was my first experience. And since Oblivion, back when the 360 first came out, I'd always wanted to play Elder Scrolls with friends. You know, you can buy houses in those games. I'm like, I just want to go do this with my friends. I want to have them come over and see the thing I saved up all this money to buy. And then I get into ESO here in 2018, and I'm like, wow, wait, that's exactly what I can do right here in this game. Again, like Stark said, you're going to encounter new things like the hotbar. You can't freeze time. Those are both great points. But you're also going to see a lot of the lore that you know and love, and not just the lore, but the locations. You get to go into parts of Skyrim. You get to go into Cyrodiil. It's all a little different than you've experienced before, but it's really, really fun. And I always say this was my 1-day break from World of Warcraft that I took that has now expanded into a 6-month departure nonstop. So is really good. Also, I'm skipping ahead just for a second, but you can currently, with the sales, get in for $10 US. So that's pretty, I mean, $10 US, that's a pretty low price to get into a game. And that opens a whole huge world of content. I mean, we're talking that opens 6 months of content right there for you. So, basics of how to get into it. I think, and Stark, I'll ask you this in a second, but my recommendation is, and again, we're going to talk to PC players here, PC Mac players. Do not buy through Steam is my rule of thumb. When people come to my stream, I strongly encourage you not to do it through Steam. Steam may sound convenient, and it sounded convenient to me as well, which is why I own so many copies of the Elder Scrolls Online. I bought through Steam only to find out that the first weekend that I got in, the first day I got in, we had just gotten over login issues. You could speak to this better than I, Stark, but there's, a disconnect between the Steam servers and the ESO servers?
It's a little more complicated than that. So
keep it.
Any game that Steam runs its own, it streamlines the login system, so you don't have to enter your password and ID. It just logs you straight in. Is running through a login server from Steam. Then that also attaches to the MMO's actual login server. I've never encountered this with ESO because I don't have it on Steam. I've got a couple other MMOs through Steam that do this. And what happens with ESO in particular is, for some reason, the Steam authentication server goes down. And at that point, some people can still get through.
Yes.
And people with old accounts, so dating back to before 2016, can launch the executable directly and manually log in. But for anybody else, anybody who purchased the game more recently, and this includes you, you're kind of hosed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So that login issue, it tends to come up whenever there's a major surge in logins. So that happened with Somerset launch. That happened, I want to say it happened right around Murkmire's launch also, maybe a little bit later there.
We definitely had one here in November. I want to say just 2 weeks back, actually, because I used it to scream the word of why you never buy through Steam. I said, look, it happened again. You people think I'm crazy. I'm not. Well, okay. Mainly crazy, but still not in that area.
Yeah, not crazy about this. I'm not sure exactly what's going on under the surface of this, but something happens to that server and then it just won't respond, or it gets overloaded, and that creates suffering for everybody. So
it really does. And it's so easy, because it's so easy to avoid it if you're someone that's about to purchase, because you really have to weigh the odds of, do I want it through Steam because Steam is Steam and I have all my games through Steam? Or do I really want to be able to log in every single week, every day that I want to log in freely and unencumbered and unhindered by that? Okay, everybody. Sorry for the little break there in the show. We actually, talking about how awesome ESO is, we just talked to one of the community managers for ESO and confirmed some things we're going to give you. We want to talk to you about pricing right here for what games you can get. So when you go to the ElderScrollsOnline.com store, and that's what we're going to push again, because we're talking PC players, PC and Mac, and we're talking just through their store so that we're not, overly doing Amazon and all the subsidiary ones that you can kind of look into. When you look at ElderScrolls.com, you're going to be presented with the standard edition of Elder Scrolls. Now, this one is currently on sale, 50% off, so it is about $10 US, as compared to its normal price at about $20 US. This one includes, it's called the standard edition, includes Morrowind. Now, they list Morrowind as a chapter here. Morrowind is a zone that is an extra area. You get to go back and explore the Morrowind content, but you're not in this edition. This is a great one to get into explore. It does not any longer include the Warden class. So if you heard or you're hearing people say that it does, this no longer includes the Warden. That's what we wanted to get some confirmation on. Again, Stark, you were just saying, if you want to explore the world, how many zones do they get with this one?
I believe they get 17 plus Vardenfell. So
wow.
The thing about Morrowind is this is the same zone. This is the same area of the map that you're exploring in the Elder Scrolls 3. And that's a little bit before you.
Yeah.
But this is the game area from that. So if you've started or if you've played that game, it's a really great nostalgia hit. But you also get the original base game zones, and there's a lot of content there. If you're not sure about ESO, this is a really good place to just dip your toes in, because you're not going to run out of stuff to do for quite a while.
Agreed. And for what is now a $10 price tag, I mean, what other game can you get into and have such a journey? I think we had to re-record a section here with the new details confirmation that we got. But Stark, you said something like 4 years later and you haven't done it all yet?
I haven't done. Yeah, no, I've still. There's 2 zones from the base game. I've never finished.
Where else can you get 4 years of content for $10? So I agree, and I think we kind of re-recorded. So sorry, guys, I'm recovering things that we said in the past bit. But you can't really gift this thing through the ElderScrollsOnline.com, but you do have the option if you choose to find this in a physical code through. I think you said Amazon and such have it started.
Yeah, Amazon was the one that I suggested, but any retailer that sells physical copies, you can gift it with.
So this is
for digital. There's the only option is one we've already warned about.
Yeah, this is a great way if you don't know. Like Stark said, dip your toes. $10 right now, you can't go wrong. This also goes on sale through Humble Bundle and such throughout the year, so this one will not be completely gone. And also, ZeniMax puts this on sale fairly regularly. I mean, I've been playing 6 months and I've seen it on sale 6 times probably by now. So this is not a one and done around the holidays. If you decide in a couple months you really want to try out the game, you missed this deal, you can always do it again. So again, that's the base game plus Morrowind, the map area, not the Warden class. We'll talk about how you can get that here in a little while. Next up on the list would be the Somerset Digital Standard Edition. Currently on sale $20, usually $40. This includes the base game and the new Somerset Isles map. However, this will not include the Morrowind map. So just that's the distinction here. You're either going $10 and getting Morrowind with the standard, or you're going $20 and you're getting the more recent Somerset content. And this launched in June, I believe. This launched right before I started playing the game. Probably some of that hype got me into the game without me even knowing it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is a really good entry point if you're completely comfortable with the idea of subscribing. Because if you're subscribing, while you're subscribing with ESO Plus, and we'll come back to that, you'll get access to Vardenfell later, so you'll be able to go back there and do that stuff. If you're looking at the game, $20 is a reasonable buy-in price, or even if $40 is a reasonable buy-in price, and you're wondering, well, do I want to do this? And you think you want Somerset, that area of the map open, then this is a really good entry point for you.
Agreed. This is a very solid one. I mean, $20 is not bad in the video game market. It's hard to find a game. Honestly, it's hard to find a game that is $20 in the market. So, like Stark said, doing this is good. If you already own a previous copy of The Elder Scrolls Online, you can go into the Somerset Digital upgrade, which will unlock the Somerset Isles for you. That saves you $5. It's currently on sale for $15 USD. So that's an option too. If you're just looking to upgrade right now, play some of the most recent content, you can get that on sale. Again, the digital upgrade will not include the base game. So you do need something in addition to this, just to be clear.
But yeah, it is kind of worth remembering with ESO that generally speaking, when you're finding a physical copy of the game, that's going to work on its own. You are not going to need another purchase for that. It's not a situation. I remember WoW does this where you'll have a physical edition of the game that you then also need to buy an additional physical edition of the game to get it working. That's never the case here. It always includes the base game if it's a physical copy.
Stark and I kind of, when we were putting these notes together, kind of sighed at how confusing this system is. And it is a confusing system, but this does save money. I think WoW's kind of done away with that because they're on expansion pack like number 6 or 8, something in there now. But you are right. I mean, for multiple years, I think the first 3 or 4 expansions of WoW, you had to own the base game plus each expansion. This one, how we just showed that trade-off, go with Somerset, you're not going to get Morrowind. Go with Morrowind, you're not going to get Somerset. That actually is a good thing, because you're not getting locked into a weird place where you're being forced to buy too much stuff. You're getting what you're getting in there, and you're going to be able to play a huge amount of content.
You're also going to be able to get into end game content regardless. That's kind of worth pointing out. Regardless what you do, even if you just have a base game without any attached bonuses for somehow, you are going to have access to end game content when you get there, when you feel like you're ready for that.
That's a great statement.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
But it's worth pointing out because this doesn't have a thing where it's tiered level caps. I've been playing another MMO recently where it's, there's level caps that are pay gated. And of course, WoW does that as well.
Yes, they do.
It's kind of obnoxious, and that's absolutely not. There's a shifting level cap, but that's open to everybody. Yeah,
I agree. This is a really, really, really good system. So I think that's, I mean, we talked about that way early on in the podcast. If you guys want to learn more about that, go back and take a listen to some of those first episodes where we talk about how getting in works and leveling up. But Stark has a great point there. You're going to find some DLC content and such you might not have access to, but again, you're going to be able to get straight to end game content without any sort of hiccups or like, ooh, sorry, you got to buy this. So it's really, really nice. Segueing briefly here, there are Somerset Collector's Editions. If you're not a diehard, or you're not a Collector's Edition person, maybe you can relax your brain for a second here. There is the Somerset Digital Collector's Edition. That is currently on sale for $30, originally $60. That includes a mount, pet, and some emote. There's an emote in there, some other little memento things. I didn't take a full list of it for this, but you can take a look at that, see if any of it's what you want. You can always opt to upgrade to that later through the Digital Collector's Edition. Should be said, though, that in the $29 version, the $30 version, that does include the base game. So buying the quote-unquote Somerset Digital Collector's Edition, you will get those Collector's Edition items, they're digital goodies, but you'll also get the base game. However, if you go with the cheaper one, $10 cheaper, the $20 Somerset Digital Collector's Edition upgrade, that gets you all the goodies, but it does not include the base game.
So if you already are playing, then it's a cheaper way to get that upgrade.
Correct.
Also worth pointing out, the Collector's Edition upgrade does give you Somerset.
Yes.
So if you don't own Somerset, so that will get you Somerset and the goodies.
It looks like right now... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Right now, there's no way to just get the goodies if you already own Somerset without having to buy Somerset again.
Yeah.
But that's probably going to change down the line at some point.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. And so right now, just looking at deals here in our own notes, if you've got $5, $10 to spare for some of these, and you think that those mounts and pets are kind of unique looking, it would be a good one if you're going to upgrade, because if you're going to do the digital upgrade, that's only $5 more than getting the standard. So you get a mount, a pet, emotes, memento, all that sort of stuff for just $5 extra when you do the Somerset Digital Collector's upgrade. So just a thought. Up next in our list is one we highly recommend you do not purchase, just because the price, and this is going to tie into some ESO Plus here in a minute too. This is titled the Elder Scrolls Online Collection. Fancy. It is currently on sale for $40, originally $80 US. This includes both Morrowind and Somerset, so the 2 chapters are in there. But you also get the first 4 DLCs, which is the Dark Brotherhood, the Imperial City, Thieves Guild, and Orsinium. To top all of that off, you get a horse, and in my opinion, not a pretty horse. Yeah, Palomino horse, forgettable.
Ironically, that was the first microtransaction item added to the game.
Really?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a collector's item in that regard, yeah.
So again, this is a $40 value. Why are we recommending against getting it? It sounds like there's so much in there. Well, I mean, I don't know how to do this, Stark, without segueing a little bit into ESO Plus, but if you're an ESO Plus subscriber, you're going to get access to all of those DLCs at a much kind of cheaper cost.
Yeah. The only place where this really makes sense is if you're really uncomfortable with the idea of subscribing to a game and you want some of the specific stuff in here, because all the content it gives you is actually pretty good. The Imperial City is a mix of PvE, PvP, but Thieves Guild, Orsinium, and Dark Brotherhood are all very solid content additions. Morrowind and Somerset are both fantastic. So it is kind of a greatest hits in that regard. But like you said, basically everything here except for the horse and Somerset comes with ESO Plus. So if you're comfortable subscribing, you're spending a lot of money when you really don't need to.
Yeah, I do want to spend some time here at the end of the episode preaching the value of ESO Plus, so we'll kind of save my rant for then on why you shouldn't. But yeah, overall recommendation: don't do this. You're going to be spending money on this that you could definitely spend elsewhere. So, we'll kind of in a minute here, maybe after we get through these next 2, Stark, maybe we'll kind of give what we both think is the best option, the most valued option for getting into the game. Do you want to take the lead with these ones? Because these are ones that I didn't really experience and haven't seen personally. Okay,
so these are actually ones that you can't buy from ZOS, from the official store anymore. And there's a number of reasons, but basically these are older copies. You can still find them on stores and store shelves sometimes. And if you do find them and it's a new copy, it's not used, it will still get you into the game. It will still get you up to date. It's not that these are faulty. It's just be aware of what they are. So we've got the Gold Edition. This released, I want to say early 2015, maybe late 2015. And that includes the first 4 DLCs. Like at that point, it included all the DLC up to that point, just as this update. It also used to have a different name. I think it was like Guilds and Glory. But that includes Dark Brotherhood, Imperial City, Thieves Guild. It's just that and the base game. So again, as with the online collection, it's not something we'd really recommend. But if you can find this very cheaply at Amazon or a local store or something, yeah, go ahead. Great. Especially if it's less than you'd be paying for base game anyway, because you'll be getting a lot of extra content to mess around with. It's just be aware that all of that stuff does come with ESO Plus. Mm-hmm. You'll also find boxes labeled Tamriel Unlimited. These date back to 2015. Again, this is just the base game. When the game originally released, it was simply called ESO, and when the console versions released, there was a change. Because originally the game required the subscription, and that was changed to be optional. And at that point, boxes were issued with the Tamriel Unlimited name. So that's a copy of the base game. It doesn't include any extras at all, but it's just a copy of the base game. So again, if you find it for cheap, go for it. It gets you all that stuff. It's still worth playing to this day. It's fantastic, but it's not extra stuff. And with both of these, it's really important to understand that if somebody's asking for a premium for them, that's not something you should really be planning on.
Right. And if it, by any chance these are opened or used, remember you cannot, because it's a code that you're linking to an account, if they've used that code, it's invalid. You're basically just buying the physical merchandise at that point. You're keeping a copy of the box, but no digital anything.
Yeah, exactly. So that's beyond that, we've got 3 other things. Mm-hmm. We've got Morrowind. So Somerset's the chapter this year, and if you're finding new boxes on shelves, they're probably going to be Somerset. Morrowind was last year's, and those should have the Warden class, which we discussed earlier. It's a cool little extra. Originally, they also included Battlegrounds. It still technically does, but Battlegrounds are now open to any player. So that changed when Somerset dropped. It includes the Vardenfell Zone and includes the base game. So it's still a reasonable purchase, especially if you can buy it cheaply now. You might still find local stores that have it on clearance. It's good. I love Morrowind. I really do love that setting in that area of the map. So
Stark does.
It's true. It's every time wherever you start in the franchise, it's kind of always home. And this is like, okay, well, we're going back to Vard. I'm on that. That's great.
I agree with that statement.
Yeah. So that's still out there. It still exists. You can't buy it digitally from ZeniMax Online anymore because you get the zone if you buy the base game from them. Or from any other number of packages, and you can get that with a subscription. So there just isn't really a point to be selling the base game and the Warden class and this just by itself anymore. The one last thing which you will not find, but might get referenced, is one Tamriel. Now, this was a change to the leveling systems to the game. It's not actually a version of the game you can buy. So if you're looking out there and going, well, where is this thing? Because clearly this is the right version for whatever reason. No, it was referring to a change from a traditional level banded zone system to a level scaling system that we have now. And it gets put out there as, this is what the game is. It's not a version you should go look for because it was never marketed or sold.
Yep, good point. Great point. So now we're at the point in time where I'm looking at these notes and saying, wow, people are going to be... Okay, let's kind of summarize and encapsulate some of this. I think maybe I'm going to touch on ESO Plus first because I'm going to skip over the Morrowind Collector's Edition for a second here, but talk about ESO Plus for a second because this is going to help us give you guys the best bang for your buck sort of situation. So ESO Plus, as many of you that are already in the game probably know, but for people that are just getting into it, ESO Plus is Elder Scrolls optional subscription. So that is traditionally $14.99 a month USD. It grants you a lot of content for $15 a month. What it does is it unlocks all of the present and future DLC for the game. DLC being separate than chapters. Chapters are more of like an expansion pack. DLC is kind of digital content throughout the year. It might be a zone. It might be a couple dungeons. It kind of varies. So ESO Plus will unlock all of the past DLC so long as you're subscribed, and as long as you continue to subscribe, you'll have access to the future DLC. Something that should be noted is that if you lapse on your subscription, if you discontinue, you are not losing any of your progress in that zone. It's just that you're barred from entering and interacting with that zone. So it's not a complete, it doesn't, upend the game for you or ruin anything in that way. In my opinion, ESO Plus just for the DLC alone is very much worth it because the DLC, if you choose to purchase piece by piece, often runs from $15 to I think $40 when you turn it and convert it into their crown system. So it can be rather expensive to buy each piece of DLC. I much recommend that people just run a copy of ESO Plus all year or any month that they choose to play. Keeping in mind that if you're someone that knows they can't play, it's December now, I want to subscribe, but I know that in February I can't play ESO, unsubscribe from ESO Plus that month. Save yourself the $15, nothing's getting hurt or lost. In addition to unlocking all of the DLC, you will actually receive to your account every month that you're subscribed. On the day that charges you, assuming you're doing a monthly subscription, you will get 1,650 crowns added to your account. So crowns being the in-game currency, you can use those crowns however you want. You can use them to buy cosmetic items, whether it's pets, horses, just different armor styles. There's some account upgrades that we've kind of hinted at throughout. There are many, many things that you can spend it on. But every month, you're actually going to get more than your $15 worth of crowns, so you're paying $15, but you're actually getting 1,650 crowns into your account. That being said, if you're someone that is hell-bent on owning the DLCs because you are someone that doesn't like the idea of subscribing, this is still one of the best ways to look at buying things because you're getting those crowns and you can use them to buy those DLC pieces. Kind of moving on for that for a second because we're going to bring that all back around when we talk about how you can most effectively get into ESO right now. In addition to ESO Plus giving you the DLCs and those crowns, you're getting a 10% increase to golden experience acquisition, 10% increase to your crafting inspiration and trait research times. You're going to get double furnishings and collectible space and player housing. You're getting exclusive ability to dye costumes, double currency cap for transmutation crystals, and exclusive access to crown store deals and some unique items. That's currently a system they just recently overhauled. That's pretty freaking awesome. So you're getting a lot of bang for your $15 a month buck. This ties into ways that you can do things. As I said, my recommendation is to run a full ESO Plus subscription all year round or any month that you're going to choose to play the game. I recommend not buying the DLCs personally because I don't feel like you get a lot from owning a digital copy of something that could always be gone, whenever the great internet purge happens. So you might as well subscribe and enjoy all of it while you can. Transitioning, Stark, if you're ready. So with that a lot of information there about ESO Plus giving you crowns per month. I'm looking back here at our prices. I think that the best way to get into ESO at the moment is to do the $20 on sale for $20 Somerset Digital Standard Edition plus an ESO Plus subscription on top of that. That would run a person, $35 in the very first payment. So they'd be paying $20 for the base. So they'd be paying $20 for the Somerset Digital Standard Edition and then $15 for the first month of the subscription.
Yeah, that'd be correct.
If you want to go cheaper, you could just do the $10 Morrowind, plus you could unlock all the DLC. So you could get the standard edition that'll give you Morrowind, but you could do the ESO Plus on top of it and get all your DLC there. That would be a $25 purchase. The reason I recommend, here's going to get complicated, you guys. This is a complicated thing. The reason I recommend doing the Somerset Digital Standard Edition for $20 plus the ESO Plus subscription for $15 on top is that as much as we just told you that Morrowind was a chapter, it is no longer a chapter at the same time that it is a chapter. It is now considered DLC and is unlockable through ESO Plus. So with ESO Plus, you will actually get access to the Morrowind zone, and with those 1,650 crowns that will be deposited into your account upon purchase of ESO Plus, you'll be able to use those to permanently buy access to the Warden class for your account, which we believe is 1,500 crowns at the moment. So for all in, at $35 in your first purchase, you will get all of that content. Somerset, Morrowind, all the DLC, and you'd have the crowns if you choose to spend them on buying the Warden. So as we just said, you can spend your crowns to unlock the Warden class, but there's also other options. If you're someone that's very content with saving your first round of ESO Plus crowns for something else, Stark has a couple different collectors. These are things you could buy through the crown store in the game to kind of talk about.
Yeah, because these used to be additional collector's edition versions of the game. Originally, when the game first launched, there was the Imperial Edition, and originally released as a boxed copy, there was a collector's edition of that. And the stuff that came from those is still available, even though you can't buy them digitally from the base store outside of the game. When you get inside the game in the Crown store, you can buy them with crowns. So there's the Morrowind Collector's Edition, which costs 2,100 crowns, which is about in line with the original markup for the Collector's Edition. It includes a dwarf horse, which is a war horse wearing... It's a little bit strange that it's named that way, but can you do? A dwarven dog is a similar story. It's wearing dwarven armor. Bear skin for the... So that actually alters the appearance of this bear. It's kind of a signature of the class that it will be there and in the way of whatever object you're trying to interact with whenever you don't want it to be. Also, it attacks your enemies. Amusingly enough, the Morrowind Collector's Edition does not include class. You have to buy that separately now. So
sorry, could you say that again, Stark? I kind of lost you there.
I said, ironically, it does not include the class.
No Warden. Gotcha.
Because you get the alternate ability skin for the bear, but you don't actually get the class. And again, that's a separate upgrade purchase.
And nor does it
mentioned a couple of times.
Nor does it afford you the access to the island, as I just saw. So this does...
Yeah, no, because the assumption is you already own that if you're buying the collector's edition.
Yeah. So, but this is what I mean. You're totally right. I'm not trying to tangent here, but yeah, that's where it gets confusing. This is the Morrowind collector's edition within the Crown Store, where you're getting the digital goodies for it, but you're not getting the content. So it's more like a collector's edition upgrade.
Yep.
Mind numbing.
A little
Sorry,
strange.
continue.
No, the Imperial Edition's a little bit more coherent at this point. It adds the Imperial race, so normally they're not playable. You can add them in separate. Originally, they were gated behind getting the Collector's Edition. You can you get a mud crab pet. You get a Scroll of Mara. This is an item you can use with another player to create a pair of wedding rings that will give your characters plus 10% XP when they adventure together. It's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And you get an Imperial horse, which is a white variant of the base game horses.
I like that horse a lot, actually.
It's really nice. It's a nice basic horse.
This is an upgrade pack that I think most people, in a way, want to probably eventually do, in my recommendation. I mean, I like Imperials a lot, so understand that there's some bias, but this is unlocking the only locked race in the game. So This is a pretty big one. That Morrowind Collector's Edition pack we just talked about, very skippable. It's some very nice cosmetic items, and those cosmetic items are good bang for the buck. But this is a pack that actually will unlock a playable race, and a pretty good stamina race at that. So, plus you get a horse and a mud crab pet. The Scroll of Mara, depends if you care about that. Mine's sitting in the bank.
So is mine. But it's there.
Yeah.
There's also, this is going to be one that you're probably wondering what it's doing here while you're looking at the notes, the Adventurers pack.
Yes.
So this was originally the pre-order bonus.
Oh, okay.
It includes any race, any alliance, which allows you to roll up characters in any alliance, regardless of their race. Normally, when you're picking your races, you have to choose races that are native to a specific alliance. So if you're playing Covenant, you're limited to Orcs, Bretons, and Redguards. This will let you pick any of the 9 base races. Also, by default, the Imperial can pick whichever alliance they want. They're indiscriminate, but if you want to, for example, have a Dark Elf in the Covenant, you need this upgrade for that.
Stark, why would I care about having a race on a certain alliance?
Role-playing or PvP.
Oh, there you go. Cyrodiil. That's it.
Yep. When the game was originally released, the content was actually gated to your alliance. So if you wanted to run a Dark Elf through Covenant content, you'd actually need this upgrade to do that. Now that's less important because you can go wherever you want. But yeah, the main reason here is if you want it for play reasons, or if you want to take a character, a specific race into PvP on a specific alliance.
Yep, that makes sense. That's also a very good upgrade pack, too. I mean, that's one that you probably will end up buying if you become a hardcore player of ESO.
Yeah. Ironically, it's also basically the only reason to get it. The other stuff, there's a pet. I can't remember what it is. I think it's
a
pony.
Guar? Is it a orangish guar?
I think it's the guar chicken thing, yeah.
I just remember because I didn't like the pet. That's why I have it in my mind.
They're friggin' adorable, but yeah, your taste may vary.
If you like chickens.
The other thing is it has treasure maps in it. Those are not worth it. They use a different drop table from any other treasure maps in the game. They're kind of nice when you're just starting out because they'll get you some random non-set blue items reliably, but for anybody who's spent significant time with the game, they lose their value. I forget how long I kept mine around. This is also true with Collector's Edition maps that you get from later versions. So Somerset and both include Collector's Edition treasure maps, and they're the same situation. They're these same list of blue items that you'll get at random. So not that appealing, but it's there and it looks appealing, so I'm just warning you ahead of time. Don't get your hopes up.
Yeah, that's a very good that's a very good rundown of some very important items in the game that you'll probably want to buy. And so with some spare time here at the end of this episode, I think it's good to say, ESO Plus has multiple ways to be purchased. They've actually just added in a year subscription. So if you're someone that can, I should have this number. What was the number? Like $139 a year USD, I think it was.
That sounds correct.
So if it's I'm going to confirm. Hold on, you guys. 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Oh, I'm in the wrong area. Join ESO Plus. Here we go. It is, $139.99 for a year's worth of ESO Plus, so 365 days. That will put 19,800 crowns into your account in one big Boom. So that's a lot of crowns to kind of work with. You'll probably want to, my recommendation with crowns is if you're going to go with something that big, I think if you guys are just starting to pick up the game, you'll probably just want to try the first, either 30-day version. Be a little conservative with crowns at the start just to see what you kind of like to spend them on. We kind of gave some hints at good items, like unlocking a warden is a really safe bet because that's a whole class you can get into and play. Careful about dropping it all on like consumable items. That's not a great way to spend crowns. That could get a little expensive for you. I mean, to each their own, but unless you're rolling in cash, I don't know if you'd want to do that option. ESO
right.
Go ahead.
The skill lines, the vampirism and werewolf skill lines, you do not need to get those from the store.
Oh, good callback. Yeah, we have a whole episode, maybe like episode 10 or 9 or something like that. I'm making it up off the top of my head, but that's about vampires and werewolves. Stark's right. Don't buy them from the store. They're very expensive, and a friend can do it for free once a week. So, what else do we want to say here? Oh, cross-platform. I get this question a lot, Stark. People come into Twitch and ask, is ESO cross-platform? Unfortunately, not. There are, 6 playable servers out there in the world, and what they are.
There are 6 servers.
There's PC, North America, and EU. PS4, North America, EU, and then Xbox, North American, and EU. So you're separated by region. If you're someone in Australia, in that region, Oceanic, you kind of have to choose, and I hate to say it, but both suffer some ping issues from what I've heard. A lot of them will roll North America.
Yeah.
Let's see. I feel like we could probably give people some other tips. So reaching back in, standard edition for $10, great way to get in. Somerset Digital Standard Edition plus ESO plus, probably the best way to get in. Also consider that Somerset Digital Collector's Edition upgrade, or I'm sorry. Well, you could do the upgrade or the Digital Collector's Edition. That one starts at $30. That'd be a good one too. Anything else you can think of to give people for this stuff, Stark?
Not especially. I think we covered pretty much everything on the way through.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit shorter of an episode this week. You guys have been holding you very late with very detailed content, but we want to keep this one kind of short and concise because it is complicated and there's so many different options out there. You can go to Amazon, you can find things. You can go to, Best Buy and find things, but all of those, have different prices, different sales, different price points. So trying to keep it slim. Well, if that's everything for this week, Stark, we'll let the fine folks go and be on their way. Send this episode off to a friend that might need to pick up a copy of the game. We'll probably touch back on this in, I don't know, a year or less as new content is added to give people another kind of recap. If you're looking to get into it now, maybe we should forecast this. What is to come so they know they're not buying into a dead game. Stark, do you know the rough release cycle for what a year in ESO is like now in terms of chapter DLC sort of things?
Assuming nothing changes, we're going to see a dungeon or basic gameplay enhancement release in January. There's been some chatter about vampires getting attention, but I'm not sure if that's players hoping for that or if that's actually confirmed. There's a few things slated though, so it's going to be, I think, February. Then we're going to have another chapter releasing in June, almost certainly, but we don't have any information on that yet. There's been a lot of speculation, but nothing concrete. And then we have another dungeon release that's going to be August or so. And then finally, there'll be another zone next year, around this time, actually. So that's going to be the rough structure so far. It's always possible stuff's going to get moved around a little bit. I know that 2 years ago, the plan was disrupted slightly because instead of an additional dungeon release, we got Homestead. And that was before released, in fact.
Housing.
So, yeah, like housing getting added to the game, and that was the full release. Another one that disrupted the cycle was Tamriel when that released. So that was before housing. It was released right before that. It was, they completely overhauled the way the game handles leveling. That was also, I think, originally slated to be Meier at one point, and then when Tamriel was developed and was put through, Meier was pushed back. So yeah, that's what we're looking at for the schedule. It is going to be a dungeon DLC, so it's 2 dungeons, and then it's going to be a chapter release, another dungeon DLC, so another 2 dungeons, and then another zone, another smaller zone to close out the year. That's the structure they're aiming for. We'll see what happens.
What that equals into is a massive release cycle for a game like this. I mean, if you're coming over from something like World of Warcraft and you're used to new content every 2 years and maybe like a raid unlocked like once a year, something like that, this is very different. This is also, and I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but this is one of the reasons you might want to consider the forecast of buying ESO Plus, because you are looking at multiple DLCs coming out. And unless you're, I mean, it depends. These DLCs do come with their own collector's edition items. I really do recommend that being a good reason to buy a DLC outright, is if it comes with collector's editions, items you really want. One of them that I'm pining over so badly being when they released some dungeons, they had a skeletal horse and a skeletal dragon, and I missed that release because I wasn't in the game yet, but I would have bought that collector's edition DLC faster than you could say ESO.
Oh, it's going to come back. That's going to be back with probably next spring.
And those usually are looking like they're coming out, 50% off in the Crown store? We saw Orsinium 50% off, I believe. So,
yeah, I think that's been the structure we've been saying. So
keep that in mind, that if you don't have the money to buy a digital collector's edition DLC thing right away, I shouldn't say digital, but I mean, it's just collector's edition DLC. You can potentially wait a year if you're okay with that, and it'll come back probably 50% off in Crown. So get into it, explore. You can get into this game at a $10 value right now. You can get into it at a $20 value, whatever you want to do. Definitely, my recommendation is don't look at DLC like it's something you need to own. I recommend trying to break that cycle, because there's no harm in shutting off ESO Plus. Use it while you want it. Consider, if you're a hardcore person, maybe upgrading to the 365-day version. That's what I'm going to do next year. I'm just going to buy it outright, probably in January, February. Maybe use your tax returns for that, and there you go. You have ESO Plus. You don't have to worry about it. Okay, everybody, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out. I've been giving away free copies of ESO, just saying, kind of pimping this at the end, that Zoss has been very nice and they just re-up my supply. So we have some extra codes to give out if you're looking to get into the game for the very first time. Maybe come by this stream, just saying. Twitch.tv/ Kyle Dempster Studios. We just gave out 2 copies yesterday to people that are like, I want to play. Here you go, get in. I'm over on Twitter at twitter.com/ Kyle Dempster STU. Starke, you're at twitter.com/
Michael J. Schwartz.
And you can always email the show at kyledempsterstudios@gmail.com if you have a burning question. There's a Discord. That's discord.com. Wait, nope, I lied. That's not what it is at all. It is discord.kyledempsterstudios.com. I think that's in the show notes below. I know we have a link to our PC North America guild, so if you ever want to get in and play with us, I'm over there. A lot of other streamers are in that guild too. Always happy to help people get into the game. So if you're someone that's picking this up around the holiday season and you have questions, we're always happy to answer them live on air. It's kind of one of the best ways to get answers, because you can get real-time feedback, like it's an actual conversation. So we can kind of help guide you on it. People in the Discord are happy to help too, so please feel free to dive into those options. Take advantage. Ask the questions before you make a purchase. Yeah. Okay, you guys, you have a great week. We're going to talk to you again next weekend. That'll be the weekend right before Christmas, so that'll be, what's that, the 23rd, I think we're back here? Looks like it.
Yeah, we'll be back here on the 23rd.
Mystery topic. Do we kind of want to speculate what we're going to talk about? What do we have? New Life?
We still got New Life to deal with, yeah.
Yeah, if you guys haven't already, try out the New Life Festival events. You're just going up to East March in their tent. It's pretty self-explanatory. That's why I decided to do this before the holidays. We'll talk about New Life, make sure you're on the right page for it and doing all the things you need to. But it's pretty easy. You just go and do like nine quests?
9 quests a day, yeah.
Oh, it's killing me, but go do them. You get cool stuff.
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad.
Fine, he's right.
Hey, at least they're distinct.
They are. They're not mind-numbing.
It's not like you're being asked. It's not like you're being asked to go grind something.
That's true. They're fine. I'm being a whiny person. They are fine. Okay, you guys. Love you all very much. We'll see you here next week. You guys have a good week. Bye-bye.
Take care.